Join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter with Good Day Dakota.
It's 5:38. Welcome back. With the impending snowstorm, our storm team has been getting a lot of questions the last few days, but one question you may not have thought about, is why this snowstorm is happening in the first place. Well, new this morning, meteorologist Amber Wheeler is here to explain that and the anatomy of a snowstorm. That's this week's Weather-Wise. What do you have for us, Amber?
Well, Tim, let's start off with the bigger picture, with where we live. That really makes a difference here. We're in what's called the mid-latitudes, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. North Pole, equator, and we're in the mid-latitudes there. The Earth spins, and this creates motion with the circulating air. Air masses constantly clash and mix, and with the clashing together of the cold and warm air, we get large pressure systems, and we call these mid-latitude cyclones. That's the impending snowstorm that we see. It's really called a mid-latitude cyclone in more scientific terms. And because it's in the mid-latitudes, it's considered a cyclone because it spins counterclockwise, and that all comes from the Earth's rotation. They follow the upper atmospheric patterns, and when they encounter colder air, cold enough air, I should say, it will strengthen and become very dangerous this time of year. But let's talk about the anatomy of a snowstorm. The very center is where the lowest of the pressure is in the entire system. The lower the pressure, the stronger the storm, and the windier the conditions. The highest impacts are typically north of the low. So when the low is south of us, that's when we get hit really hard. And then you have several different air masses meeting inside of this cyclone, and they're separated by warm and cold fronts. It's important to know where these fronts are because they can bring snow and even sleet, freezing rain, and sometimes just rain. Figuring out where these are, it can be really tricky, and they can mean the difference between a little bit of snow, a lot of snow, or even just rain. Now, another crucial part to this storm is the inflow. Moisture gets fed in from the south, and sometimes dry air can get brought in as well. And it's important to watch the inflow of a large system like this because if you pull in dry air, that greatly reduces your impacts, or warmer air can change your precipitation types, which we know with this current system, that's what we're looking at. And because life isn't filled with perfectly drawn cold fronts and lines, I want to show you how this is playing out in real life. We see this storm that we're watching moving on the coast right now. It typically, when they move over the Rockies, they become a little less organized and kind of messy. And then once they move east of the Rockies, they get much more organized. And you know they're organized when you see this center, the circle start to form and all these lines on the outside of it. That's when you start seeing a more mature system. And Tim, notice that we are actually above the center of the low. So that means that we are going to be in the more high impact zone of this storm.
Okay, I learned a lot about how this all works. And yeah, like you said, it seems like it spells maybe some trouble for us in this particular case.
I think it just might. And of course, coming up, I'll have the latest on what we're thinking on this storm, how much snow I think we could get.
Okay. Thank you very much, Amber. Interesting stuff. Still plenty of news and weather.